Tune in as I share what I learned from a former top consultant to NASA and how it can have a dramatic impact upon the quality of your life. Some 20 years ago, I got invited to a lecture on quantum physics and consciousness. Little did I know that my mind was going to be absolutely blown. Because up until that point in time, I'd never heard of quantum physics. I'd never heard of this idea or this aspect that we're made of energy. So they invited me to come to this lecture and told me to make sure I bring my guitar. And, I figure I'm going to show up and play during donut time or something. And that night, I learned that we are these magnificent expressions of a field of energy that's unlimited in its potential. And I also learned that every day we are being exposed to vibrational barriers that are putting us into a state of disharmony, dramatically impacting our health, our wellness, our levels of consciousness, how it is that we function in life. And halfway through the program, they start demonstrating how things we use every day are compromising our energy and putting us into a weakened physical state. And they had this guy who was probably like 6'5", one of these big muscle dudes. And how by simply holding a cell phone in his field, he went weak. A container that had one time had gasoline in it, just by opening it in front of him, made him go weak. I mean, I was absolutely shocked by what I was witnessing. And halfway through the testing, they totally threw a curveball at me and said, "Mark, come up here. We want you to start playing." So I come up kind of like not really sure what to expect, not really sure what was going on. And I start playing. And I see people's physical energy shift instantly in front of my eyes. I was absolutely mystified by what I was seeing. There were people who lacked flexibility and couldn't reach down and touch their toes. I start playing and they're putting their hands on the ground. That big muscle guy was no longer going weak with a cell phone in his field. And I really didn't know what I was witnessing or what was happening. And I kind of went home that night with this red light flashing in my head. Does not compute. And a few days later, I get a call from Dr. Jones. And he said, "Mark, we are so excited. Your music has frequencies that cancel out the negative effect of vibrational barriers in our environment, the 80,000 man-made chemicals in our air, food, and water, the countless disruptions from cell phone signals and EMFs." And I said, "Doc, I don't understand what this means." He said, "Well, what it means is that even when people are being exposed to these disruptors, by simply playing your music in the space, it allows them to be able to restore harmony to their energetic field, regardless of what they're being exposed to." I said, "I still don't understand." He said, well, when you're in tune and in harmony, you have these shifts in your physical energy. You're stronger, you're more aligned. Your memory, your focus, your creativity, your intuition, all are dramatically enhanced. Your body's innate ability to heal itself is dramatically increased. Your music can help people to reach that state. And I was still quite bewildered by this. But then he said to me, you know what? We want to buy 1,000 CDs from you and start selling them. And that was probably, at that point in time, the only thing I could really relate to in the conversation. And that's how I began my journey in using music, energy, and light to help people to restore harmony to their body, their mind, and their spirit. And I think about it, 20 years ago, there was no Wi-Fi. There was no 3G. Now we're at 3G, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, smart meters, 80,000 man-made chemicals in every aspect of our lives. And we wonder why we struggle. We wonder why we're stressed out. We wonder why we sometimes have such a hard time in reaching our potential. Because that night I learned we're expressions of this field of energy that's unlimited in its potential. Why do we struggle? Because our energy has been put out of tune and into disharmony. And much like the guitar, if these strings aren't in tune, I'm never going to reach my potential to play beautiful music. So we have to find a way to rise above the negative effects of vibrational barriers and begin to restore harmony to our energetic field, and thereby restoring harmony to our body, our mind, and spirit. Why? So that we can align ourselves with that potential and begin to step into the next greater and grander version of who and what we are. Some years later, I asked Doc, why me? Why this music and stuff? And he said, I don't know. And I'm like going, I really expected kind of a better answer. But it was kind of a mystery. He said, somehow, some way, you found a way to access these frequencies, bring them through, interweave them into your music, and put them out into the world. He said, I don't understand how or why. All I can see is the result of that being done. And that began an amazing journey of understanding frequency, energy, sound, and how we can truly begin to be in the world but not negatively impacted by it, and our ability and our potential to rise above the static and noise of the modern day world so that we can begin to align ourselves and tap into our unlimited potential to compose the life of our dreams. Hey, if you have not yet and would like to start working with a track of music to see its impact upon your energetic field and what can open up for you when you begin to tune your energy in your field, I invite you to go to the description below. Make sure you download your free track of music, a little guidebook, and take a little vibrational journey and look to see what happens when you begin to restore harmony to your body, your mind, your spirit. Take care. Have a harmonious day.